Welcome, Totem Pole Nation. It is Lambo at Lambo's World of Sports, presented to you by Sideline Sports Network. We got a lot of things going on. We got to talk about college football and the University of LSU. Now, according to the polls, LSU is ranked too high, ladies and gentlemen. LSU is ranked number 5 in the top 25 this year. Number 5. They're ranked ahead of Florida State. They're ranked ahead of Tennessee. They're ranked ahead of USC. They're ranked ahead of a lot of people. And I just don't like it. Now, Brian Kelly, ladies and gentlemen, is in the second year for LSU. Second year after he spent about the last 10 plus years, 11 seasons in the University of Notre Dame. LSU is trying to be back. They hadn't been to the national championships. They had Ed Orgeron as the head coach, and they had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the best, probably one of the best teams in college football at 15-0. I mean, they had talent like crazy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, they had the guys. LSU had the guys. So LSU hasn't been in the championship competing mode since then. They struggled the last 2 seasons before Brian Kelly became the head coach. Last year, LSU won 10 games last year. I think they went 10-4 last year. So for LSU, there's high expectations, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Kelly said he came to the University of LSU so that it can beat Alabama. He wanted to go. That's not the main reason. He wanted to go so he could strictly beat Nick Saban. Last year, I watched the game. He beat Nick Saban. He beat him. You're down 31-24. I think it was in overtime or something like that, or it might be in the fourth quarter. It was a long game. I watched it. It was a very, very, very long game. On ESPN, scored a touchdown. Brian Kelly said, let's be aggressive, go for 2. They go for 2. They take the W in LSU. That kicked Alabama out the college football playoff. Now, how do I feel about this year? You have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. He's very consistent. He can run. I think he had over about 700 yards rushing last season on the ground. He could throw. He's very accurate. But I'm going to read the schedule out to you. I think according to the schedule, I think LSU is going to lose about 3 games. LSU will lose to Florida State. They will beat Grambling. That's an HBCU school. They'll beat Mississippi State. They may get by with Arkansas. I think Arkansas will be a better team this year. They'll beat Ole Miss. They'll beat Missouri. They'll beat Auburn. They'll beat Army. They'll lose to Alabama. They'll lose to Texas A&M. They'll beat Florida, and they'll beat Georgia State. So looking at that, that's a 9-3 team. In 12 games, it's about 9-3. I said they're gonna lose to Florida State, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Now, there's a possibility they can lose earlier than that. Luckily, LSU does not play Tennessee on their schedule because they would have got blown out by Tennessee. So with all those expectations, LSU will go 9-3. As I said, they will lose 3 games this year. Now, it looks like the schedule, it looks like you can go undefeated, but it's college football. You never know what happens along those lines. So, Brian Kelly, ladies and gentlemen, the expectations of LSU is that Brian Kelly needs to get into the top 5 college football playoff. You're ranked number 5, which means, according to that schedule, you shouldn't lose but 1 game. The only team you should lose to is Alabama. The only team you lose to is Alabama. Alabama will come back in revenge. They will beat LSU. I will put some money on the line for that. But according to what I said in the schedule, LSU will be 9-3. But also, at the same time, They have a lot of key guys injured. They have the defensive lineman. Smith will miss the opener versus Florida State. So it'll be pretty tough. Everybody's going through injuries. But I think at the same time, a lot of teams expect Jaden Daniels to be the next Joe Burrow leap in year two, like he did like when Joe Burrow first came to LSU. He wasn't that good, and then he elevated up. So the pressure, ladies and gentlemen, is on Jaden Daniels. Can he get the job done? And we'll see what happens when they play Florida State. The journey of Jaden Daniels, will he rise? Will he get LSU to the college football playoff? Before the expansion, not before the expansion, after this season, can he get to it this year? Don't wait till next season when you got 12 teams and you can afford to lose 3 games. Can Jaden Daniels, as of now, take LSU and at least compete for a national championship? I don't know if they're going to win it, but can he at least compete for it? That's what it's going to come down to for the LSU Tigers. It's high expectations. He took over one of the greatest LSU teams of all time. I'm not saying Brian Kelly's on the high seat. He's a very good coach. But LSU fans want to compete for national championships. Nick Saban won a national championship at LSU before he went to Alabama. Brian Kelly, it's your time to shine. You say you want to beat old St. Nick. You might not beat him this year because Alabama will come back. But for LSU, Jaden Daniels needs to elevate his game. And we'll see how good the LSU offensive line is. Totem Pole Nation's Lambo, Atlanta Sports. Presented to you by Sideline Sports Network. Tune in. I'll be watching LSU play Florida State. I got my money on Florida State. LSU, ladies and gentlemen, will start off 0-1, and they'll be knocked out of the top 25. If they don't beat the teams that's supposed to be on their schedule, it might be a failure. But Totem Pole Nation, check in, tune